For the last decade, there's been one golden rule in tech strategy: cloud first. But what if that rule is, well, broken? Today, we're diving into the massive shift away from the cloud and toward a whole new way of thinking: sovereign tech.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The strategy that literally defined a generation of technology isn't the default anymore. A new era is dawning, and the very foundations of our digital world are being called into question.
So what's behind this huge change? Well, the cloud era was really built on a simple trade-off. We gave up control for convenience. We became renters, leasing our infrastructure from just a handful of global providers. But now, all these new pressures are showing us the massive risks we took with that bargain.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll unpack the cloud's big midlife crisis. Then we'll get into what this sovereign tech thing is all about and explore its two huge pillars: autonomy and intelligence. And finally, we'll look at what this all means for the new job description of every CTO.
Okay, let's start with that fundamental trade. For years, outsourcing our digital foundations just seemed smart. It was efficient. But what was the real cost of all that convenience?
Well, three major forces are basically creating a perfect storm. First, geopolitical instability means the physical location of your data is now a massive strategic vulnerability. Second, you've got this tangled web of new laws around AI and data privacy that makes compliance an absolute nightmare. And third, that age-old problem, vendor lock-in, is no longer an inconvenience. It's a critical business risk. All of a sudden, renting looks really, really expensive.
And that brings us to the new paradigm: sovereign tech. Now, this isn't just another buzzword, okay? It's a strategic response to the failures of the old model. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset, from being a tenant to becoming the master of your own digital house.
At its core, this is what sovereign tech is all about. It's the ability to truly own and control your entire digital foundation. And we're talking about everything: the hardware it runs on, the data it contains, and maybe most importantly, the intelligence it creates.
This tenant versus master analogy is just the perfect way to think about it. In the cloud-first world, you're a renter. You're subject to your landlord's rules, their price hikes, and you're bound by their foreign regulations. But in the sovereign tech model, you own the building. You set the rules. You control who has the keys.
And this image right here, this illustrates the sovereign stack perfectly. Think of it like your own self-contained digital fortress. Inside, you have total command over everything that matters: your jurisdiction, your intelligence, and your company's unique logic. It's a completely self-owned ecosystem.
Okay, so let's dig into that first pillar: jurisdictional autonomy. This is all about getting back physical and, more importantly, legal control over your own infrastructure.
I mean, this is the ultimate question for any leader, right? In the cloud model, sure, your data might live locally, but the keys, the actual control plane, are often governed by foreign laws. That means a political decision made halfway around the globe could literally shut down your business overnight.
So the answer is what's called a local-first architecture. This means building your systems so that both your data and the controls for it fall under local laws. It's about making sure some geopolitical kill switch flipped in another country can't paralyze your operations. This is what true operational resilience looks like.
All right, let's move on to the second pillar: intelligence sovereignty. And you could argue this is the most critical shift of all for any company that's serious about AI.
This really cuts right to the heart of the issue. It's the big AI ownership debate. When you use a third-party AI service, who really owns the insights, the models, and the reasoning that's being created from your private proprietary data? This is the new front line for protecting your intellectual property.
And the contrast here could not be more stark. On one side, you have AI as a service. You're basically sending your company's brain into an external black box with no real idea what's happening to it. On the other side, you have sovereign RAG. Now, RAG is just a fancy way of saying the AI does its thinking over your private data, inside your secure walls. You own everything: the model, the weights, the entire reasoning process. It's all yours.
So when you put all of this together, it leads to a brand new mandate for technology leaders. This isn't just about buying different tech. It's about a fundamentally different philosophy for how we build our systems from the ground up. This demands a whole new mindset. First, you've got to embrace open standards to avoid getting trapped by any single vendor. Second, you need to master modern, modular tools like LangChain to build AI systems that are portable, that you can pick up and move anywhere. And finally, you have to design for security, assuming the global internet is a nice-to-have, not a guarantee.
Ultimately,
It all boils down to this single, incredibly powerful idea. Real security isn't found in some service-level agreement with a vendor. It's found in ownership. It comes from controlling your own digital destiny.
So as we wrap this up, this is the strategic question I want to leave you with. The conversation has completely moved on. As we build the next generation of technology, we have to ask ourselves, are we just renting a tiny piece of someone else's sky, or are we going to build and own our own?